So the next thing after doing the heads is obviously getting the whole valve train set up. So, you know, lifters, push rods, and then rockers. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, these are your lifter retainers basically. They stop, well, as you can see here, there's like a flat groove hopefully inside that. That basically stops the lifter rotating, and it keeps, because they are a roller lifter, as you can see they got a roller on them, so that rolls on the camshaft lobe. So because it's got that, you don't want that to obviously rotate 90 degrees, otherwise you'll basically wipe out the cam. I'm going to be getting rid of all these stock lifters. You can run them if you want, they're completely fine. I've got my own set of Crow Cams race lifters. If you're not changing your lifters, you don't need to do this, so keep that in mind. And for those of you who are running new lifters, it's always good to soak them in a bath of oil for about a day before installing, just to fill up. There's basically a hole in the side here, which, because these are a hydraulic lifter, they fill up with oil, and there's also a hole in here, so you want to have them in there and purge any air from them before you actually put them into use, because you could actually end up with improper lash or, you know, lifter tick, etc. Obviously you want to inspect down in here before you start putting stuff in. So I'm just going to give this a quite quick inspection, wipe up any swarf that could be in there. Alright, so that valley now is all ready to go. So while I've had my lifters out of the motor, like I said before, I've soaked them in a bath of oil just to be 100% safe when I chuck these back in the car. So I'm also hoping that this fresh oil kind of gave them a bit of a clean. So yeah, all you got to do is basically drop them in and just make sure the orientation's right, so that flat is running, I guess, front to back. Alright, so once they're in, it's just a matter of putting your retainers back on. Obviously give them a clean up, get rid of any dirt and grit and sludge that will otherwise go back into the motor, and then just a double Loctite on the bolts, and then just snug them down. Not too tight because you are going onto plastic, but just enough, and then the Loctite will do the rest and stop them coming loose. Alright, so I've had my rockers and all the valve train basically soaking in degreaser overnight. So what I'm going to do is just pull out all my rockers. I'm just going to spray them down with Kero, mainly just to avoid getting water in any of these bearings, just like that, and that's all good like that. So I'm just going to go through and clean all that stuff up, then we can start putting it back in the engine. Right guys, so we got a special guest here now. We got Ben. You might remember him from such episodes as Toby explodes in the dyno, which we found a reason why it happened, and it's nothing to do with detonation or anything. We'll get to that later. Anyway, Ben's going to show us basically how to set your lash properly and ensure a tick-free valve tray. So
give it a crack.
I'll keep my hands semi-clean for now, and we'll let Ben.
Where's your socket says?
We're on just for these.
No, for the crank. We got to turn the crank over.
Oh yes.
Top there.
Top one, yeah.
I don't know what the spec actually is for the lash. I'll have to look it up.
That's it. So the principle is you basically want to be tightening and checking lash on a closed valve. Correct?
Yep, that's it. So we're going to find when, it's a bit hard when there's nothing in here. But yeah. I'm just pushing down on the push rods to work out when, so you can see which port's that. That's the intake port. The intake port's starting to open now. You can see it's going up and up and it's peaked about there.
Yep.
So when the intake port's at peak lift, the exhaust ports should be closed.
Yep.
In theory,
Makes sense, yes.
without overlap and all the rest of it. But it's close enough to do what we want to do here. So
For this mud anyway, we're safe.
So we can set the push rods up in there and get a rocker bolt.
So, obviously you saw me clean these before in degreaser. I've since sprayed some oil with my little oil squirter bottle in the bearings just to make sure they're all nice and slimy when it starts up. So, in theory they should just torque down and all be good. That's what I did last time and it was
Alright, so put some assembly lube in the cup and on the
also
valve
on
tip.
top of the valve. Yep.
It's pretty exciting stuff, this.
It is.
So get that seated in there. Ooh, little squirty. Okay. So I'm just going to tighten the bolt down till, so if you just grab the rocker you can feel it still loose, and then slowly tighten that up till you feel it start to bite, about right there. So that's 0 lash.
Yep.
Then what we'll do is note how much of a turn from 0 lash till the bolt's fully tightened up, and that'll be our lifter preload. So roughly horizontal there, or going around the axis of the lifter.
That's right.
And we've got, that's a 1/4 turn, that's a 1/2 turn, 3/4 turn, 1 turn, 1 1/4, and it's starting to tighten up there. So 1 3/8.
You heard it here first. That's it. Lock it in, Eddie.
Alright, so that's 1 3/8. Normally what I would probably do is set this one as well, but because you've got this aftermarket rail here for the lifters, for the rockers, we'll set up the other end there so it holds the whole rail nice and square, and we'll put all the other ones in as well. So it's a bit of mucking around, turning the engine all over, but it's good to get it set up really right. Make sure the lifter preload's right so that it doesn't hold the valve open at high revs, and it's not too loose and rattling around and then causing interference with the knock sensors. So we want it nice and quiet so that we've got good feedback from the knock sensors.
Alright. So we'll repeat that for the M1 and we'll come back. Alright, so we obviously put these two in. The back one, that ended up being, what was it, 1.5 turns to...
yes, 1.5 turns.
Yeah, so Ben looked that up for factory lifters or factory replacement ones, which I've got, the Crow Cams ones. That's within spec. Was it 1/2 turn to, or quarter turn to 1.5 turn? Or 1/2 turn to 1.5?
1/2 turn to 1.5.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, once we've got that and they're all within spec, you're saying that we basically then torque it down?
Yep, then go around and torque them up to the right torque spec.
Yep.
So that way's really easy because it's written down and everyone knows that's the spec for these particular ones, but the actual spec is 50 thou minimum preload, and then you can work that out based on the pitch of your thread for the bolt. So the other way you can do it...
Yeah, like this guy. So you're saying though another way you can do it is scriber.
Yeah, I was going to say you could scribe a line.
Yeah.
But that would really only tell you what the peak lift is on the cam.
Okay.
It wouldn't really help you with the lifter preload setup.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what the lift of the cam is, you can either set up a dial gauge off the top, or you can go from base circle, scribe a line on the push rod, get right up to peak lift, scribe another line on the push rod referencing that head surface, and then you'd have your cam lobe lift, not your valve lobe lift.
Oh, okay.
Because that's your cam lobe off the lifter, and then multiply by whatever your rocker ratio is to give you valve lift. Except with these ones, because they're not a roller tip, the more cam lobe lift you get, the higher the rocker ratio is, because the contact patch moves further out on the valve. So
interesting.
You can actually see that on here. So
hopefully that'll focus.
From there, as you get more and more lift, the valve moves that way on the tip. So imagine that was the tip of the valve. It starts there, and then as it rocks,
that's right,
like that, and you get an increased ratio. So the stock ones are actually quite good for that, and that's why if you're using a 1.6 or 1.7 ratio, compared to this style re-drilled. You get more performance because you're actually getting an increased lift as you go across. So, especially with aftermarket cams that have higher load lifts, and then you combine them with these rockers, you get like a really aggressive lift profile.
Which sounds nice.
Could be fun.
By rights, with stock thickness head gasket and everything basically factory, you should be right. But it's always good to check that because it's always a pain having to pull your valve cover gaskets off, isn't it, Ben?
Absolutely, especially if you have all that stuff in the way.
Yes.
So you really don't want to do that.
So, yeah.
Oh, and reconditioned heads. If you have reconditioned heads and the valves, when they grind or cut the valve seat, if the valve is further into the head, it'll protrude further out the top.
Yep.
And if they don't correct that by grinding the stem of the valve back, and sometimes they don't do that because there's a hardened coating on the top, then you'll end up with the valve sitting further out, and then you'll have more preload on the lifters.
See, this is why I brought you here. The engineer has come out to play and clarifies some unthought about mythology. Actually, it's not myth. It's
mythology.
It's reality. Sorry.
Reality.